We are going YouTube live now.
Muted and no? Water, beta.
Namaste. Narakula is a yogashala which firmly believes in promoting the ancient yogic tradition in the strictest sense and in its entirety. All our courses, may it be short termed or long termed, have in them the essence of mantra, tantra, and yantra, guided by the principles of Yoga Parampara put forth by the Maharishis like Patanjali, Swatmarama, and others. Hence, at Nirakula, the courses have been formulated keeping in mind the vastness of yogic traditions. Our system is a rich blend of yoga, both as chikitsa and sadhana. We strive to use the principles of yoga to synchronize with nature as much to correct the imperfections of the body, breath, and mind. The following fundamental principles are firmly believed and practiced at Nirakula. Nurture excellent practitioners to carry forward the rich tradition of yoga into the future and to address the unending challenges facing humanity today. Create a strong urge amongst the practitioners to embrace the continuous cycle of physical, mental, and spiritual growth. A few uniqueness of our long-term programs like 200 hours and 300 hours teachers training programs are as follows. Our 200 hours teacher training course is integrated with 20 hours of spoken Sanskritam course. As part of the course, we provide participants an understanding of ancient Indian astronomy, history, and psychology. Our 300 hours teacher training course covers a plethora of subjects including Swara Yoga, Nada Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Yoga philosophy, and psychology, a teaching methodology based on ancient Indian scriptures. This program opens up the participants towards ideas least discussed in academics like marriage, parenting, nutritious food that strengthens spiritual journey. During this program, we take students out to different parts of India and help the participants to realize as to how yoga has been internalized in our culture for more than 5,000 documented years. We have teachers to teach pratyahara and dharana practically. Our graduation day is based purely on the principles of ancient Indian idea of convocation. Namaste.
गणानान्त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आरः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् महागणपतये नमः। ॐ नमो पुरातपतये नमो गणपतये नमः प्रमथपतये नमस्तेऽस्तु लम्बोदरायैकदन्ताय विघ्ननाशिने शिवसुताय श्रीवरदमूर्तये नमः। प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजैर्वाजिनीवती धीनामभित्र्यवतु चोदयित्री सुनृतानां चेतन्ती सुमतीनां यज्ञं दधे सरस्वती वाग्देव्यै नमः। शम्भवे नमः। नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। ये अर्वामुतवा पुराणे वेदं विद्वागुंसमभितो वदन्त्यादित्यमेव ते परिवदन्ति सर्वे अग्निं द्वितीयं तृतीयं च हगुंसमिति यावतीर्वै देवतास्ताः सर्वा वेदविधिब्राह्मणेव सन्ति तस्मात् ब्राह्मणेभ्यो वेदविद्भ्यो दिवे दिवे नमस्कुर्यान्नाश्लीलं कीर्तयेदेता एव देवताः प्रीणाति।
सर्वेभ्यः नमस्काराः। हैप्पी फैमिली कार्यक्रमार्थं सुस्वागतम्। तुलसी कृष्णयोः विवाहोत्सवारम्भः। Tulasi Vivaha is a symbolic festival during Kartika Masa of Bharatiya calendar that focuses on the importance of Grihastha-ashrama, a system through which the entire Bharatiya civilization has been conceived. Today, we have Shri Dr. Rajdeep Manwani as the speaker, who is an academician, trainer, motivational speaker, life coach, counselor, and quiz master par excellence, both by training and by choice. He is working as a professor and coordinator in the Department of Commerce at the Jain University. Shri Rajdeep is a MCom, MBA, and MPhil, and also doctorate degree holder. He has secured the gold medal in his MCom and MPhil. He is the recipient of the National Award as a role model for empowerment of persons with disability from the Honorable President of India in December 2013. He is also the recipient of the Special Award given by the Chief Minister of Karnataka in 2011 and the State Award for Excellence given by the Government of Karnataka in 2015. An eloquent speaker, he has won several debates and was adjudged the best speaker in the International Tape Speech Competition held by Toastmasters International in 2008. He holds the record of being adjudged the best impromptu speaker for 5 years in India and Sri Lanka for the years 2008, 9, 10, 12, and 15. He has been awarded the Distinguished Toastmaster, the highest award in the Toastmasters International. He has also received the Rotary Award for Vocational Service in Education, the Extraordinary Pathfinder Award by Rotary International, the Positive Health Hero Award given by Dr. Patras Clinic and Bajaj Auto, and the GCS Foundation of Transformational Leadership Innovative Teaching Award in May 2018, and the Guru Shrestha Award in 2019. Shri Rajdeep has been a featured TEDx speaker and has hosted several training programs, given motivational speeches, and held management talk shows on the radio. He is a regular speaker to the senior management and leadership of several companies like Bosch, Wipro, HP, and Intel, and he is part of the elite panel of speakers for several leadership and management forums. He is part of the internal quality assurance cell and also a key member of the research cell at the Jain University. He has trained, motivated, and mentored over 21,500 students and executives. His clients includes Britannia, SBI, Pantaloon Retail, Wipro, and Kotak Life. His motto of touching lives and making a difference will impact all of his listeners as he talks on how to build a joyful family. Over to you, sir. We await for your enthralling lecture.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm audible and visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. Uh, we are talking about a joyful family, and I get very nervous when people introduce me like this, especially family members. Some years back, my wife introduced me very nicely in front of her friends, and the very next day, she asked for gold jewelry. So, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It's an absolute pleasure coming here. Let me start off with a small incident which happened in my life uh, several years back. When I was in my 8th standard, I lost my eyesight due to a disease called macular degeneration, or RP, retinitis pigmentosa. And it was very, very devastating for me because I was in my 8th standard, I was playing as the fast bowler for my middle school team. I was excellent in studies. I used to always get 95% and above. I was a voracious reader. I used to read a lot of books. But suddenly, in my 8th standard, this retinitis pigmentosa struck, where the rods and cones of the eyes keep deteriorating. And within a matter of around 2 or 3 months, I lost nearly 85% of my eyesight. And I was very, very upset. And I used to keep asking, why did this happen to me? Why didn't it happen to anybody else? Why should it happen to me? Usually, when we are in difficulties, we ask this question, why? Why did it happen to me? When will this go? And this is, I think, so immaturity from our side, because the most important thing is, when you face difficulties, you should never ask why and when. These are the wrong questions to ask, because if you ask those questions, your mind will go in loops. It will keep rotating and you'll never get answers to that very question. You will never ever get answers to why and when in life. Why should the greatest propagator of ahimsa, Mahatma Gandhi, die such a violent death? Why should one of the greatest saints of our time, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, get throat cancer? There are no answers to that. Why should Vivekananda pass away at such a young age? So you never get answers for why in life. You're wasting your time. So the correct question to ask when you're in difficulty is, what can I do to come out of this difficulty? How can I cope with this difficulty? What and how are the right questions? But I was just in my 8th standard, so I didn't know. I wasn't mature at that particular point of time. I didn't know to ask the right questions. So I was sitting one day in my room and I was crying very bitterly, because I felt that everything is lost because my eyesight is lost. I felt a gentle hand on my shoulder. When I turned back, it was my father. My father told me something that day which changed my life. My father told me, Beta, don't keep your dreams in your eyes, they will wash away as tears. Keep them in your heart so that each heartbeat reminds you to achieve those dreams. Don't keep your dreams in your eyes, they will wash away as tears. Keep them in your heart so that each heartbeat reminds you to achieve those dreams. That was a turning point in my life. I said, let it be. It's okay if my eyes have gone, but my dreams cannot be crumpled because I still have my heart, I still have my passion, I still have my enthusiasm. And from that day on, I've always kept my dreams in my heart. I've always decided to do whatever I do with passion, enthusiasm, with all my heart so that I can make a small difference here and there. The reason why I told you this incident is very simple. What support a family can give, nobody else can give. In fact, the family is the microcosm of the universe. It is that small part of the universe where you bond, where you share your happiness, where you share your emotions, where you share your joy, you share your tears, you share your love, you share your compassion. And if we cannot get our family right, we cannot get the world right. If we don't get ourselves right in our family, there is no point of talking about world peace. There is no point of talking about community development. There is no point of talking about developing the country because charity begins from home. If you are going to live a loving, joyful, happy family, you are making that small contribution like a drop. You add one drop of blue dye to a bucket of water. First nothing happens, but after around 50-60 drops, slowly the bucket starts turning blue. So each one of us has that responsibility first towards our family. In fact, once a seeker had come to Ramakrishna Paramahansa, and he said, Ramakrishna, Guruji, I want to become close to God. I want to love God like how you love God, how you love Goddess Kali. So Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa asked him, oh, yes, you want to love Goddess Kali the way I love it? You want to get the enlightenment through devotion and bhakti? He said, yes. He said, okay, okay. Tell me who's there in your family. So the seeker smiled and said, I have my father, my mother, and my wife. So he says, okay, do you love them? He said, no, Swamiji, I don't love them because I want to only love God. I don't have any care, concern for my father, mother, and wife. Ramakrishna Paramahansa was an angry sage, but that day he got very angry. He pushed that man and he said, if you don't love your family, how will you love God? If you don't love your family, how will you love God? So the beginning of everything comes from that particular cosm, that particular point where we talk about our family. And it's not easy to live with a happy family because we are living with each other. We have our own weaknesses, we have our own strengths, and with our family, we notice them over a period of time and we have to adjust with them. Correct or no? But the point which is happening is over a period of time, because we have lost the art of living with our family, we are not being good and ethical citizens at all. And the way in which we have lost this touch with our family is because of our addiction and not giving enough family time. What is this addiction all about? There is this great menace in our country and, in fact, the whole world of gadgets. When I was young, there was no gadget, there was only one telephone and we used to talk. But now we have so many gadgets. In fact, a survey conducted by the Family Magazine, this is a magazine which comes from the USA, but they had also surveyed families from India, Australia, in fact, from 5 different continents. And the Family Magazine said that on an average, families which used to spend approximately at least 1 hour every day, at least 1 hour every day in 1990, shrunk to around 45 minutes in 2000, shrunk to around half an hour in 2010, and now the family time is restricted to 15 minutes in 2020. And because of the pandemic, even though we have come together, we have become separate. Because even though you are together, you are in one room, he's in one room. It's like you are living in a hotel, correct or no? The only way in which you can get time with your family is give them a call from one mobile phone to the other mobile phone. And the reason is also because our attention span has shrunk. The International Journal of Psychology says that an average individual's time span, attention span, again, over 4 decades, 1990, it was around 45 minutes. Remember, we could sit for 45 minutes peacefully, concentrate on something. By 2000, because of the advent of the television.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. We have lost your video, sir.
Okay, wait. I lost my video. Is it on now?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay. The average, once the television revolution came and the beginning of the .com, we had around 22 minutes of time attention span. Attention span came down to 22 minutes in 2000. And that's why all the serials which you see, TV serials, were around 22 minutes. 2010, it was 11 minutes. 2020, it's 6 minutes. That means you cannot concentrate for more than 6 minutes. Every 6 minutes, you want to see the WhatsApp, you want to see the mobile, you want to see this, you want to see that. You can't concentrate for more than 6 minutes. And in that time, when your attention span is so shallow, it becomes difficult to give time. And in fact, you must understand one thing. There is a golden law in life. The golden law in life is this: whatever you give time to grows in your life, whatever you don't give time to shrinks in your life. Whatever. If you see in the last year, your business has done extremely well, be sure you've spent more time on your business. If you feel in the last year, your spiritual practices have come down, you've lost your connect with God, it's because you're not spending enough time sitting in silence, or you're not spending enough time in your chanting or whatever spiritual practice you're doing. If you feel that you've grown in the relationship with your friends, you're spending more time with them. If you feel that you're not connecting with your spouse or your children, be sure that you're spending less time with them. The rule of the universe is the more you spend time on something, that grows. The less you spend time on something, that shrinks in your life. And if you find that your family is not bonding with you, not connecting with you, 100% you are not spending enough time with them. And even if you're spending time with them physically, you're not spending time with them psychologically. You might be sitting together for dinner, but you will be sitting with your mobile in one hand and your spoon in on the other hand. You might be sitting and watching TV together, but one person is on his laptop, one person is on the mobile, one person is looking at the TV. You're not spending quality time. And the way in which you rectify any difficulty, where there's a family problem or where there's a family which is not joyful, spend more time. Any aspect of your life you want to grow, spend more time. The more you spend time on something, it grows. We have lost the art of laughing together. When I was young, I used to sit, my father and me used to crack jokes. Our whole family used to laugh together. Now, what do you laugh? Emotions are not there. They become very masked. The only emotion you know is when you see a meme on your mobile and you send ha ha ha, or you'll send lol lol. Where is the actual laughter? People used to laugh with their bellies. They used to roll on the floor. I used to walk down my road in Shanti Nagar and in Sudama Nagar, where I used to live when I was young, and I could hear laughter from the houses, from the apartments. Now I walk, there is no laughter at all. We have lost the art of laughing together. We have lost the art of spending time together, and that's the biggest casualty. So the first thing which I want to tell you before I start off with the other tips to build a joyful family is start spending more time with your family. The more you spend time with your family, the relationships grow. And not only time, spend quality time with your family. Spend time where you can laugh with your family together, sit with your family together, share your happiness, joy with your family, and then you will see that as you spend more time, the relationships grow. And there is one more small trick which you can do besides spending time. When I was young, I I I used to live in Nasik, in fact Devalali, which is a small town near Maharashtra in Nasik, and we had a joint family, correct? Or no? And we used to live in one part of the house, and there used to be my uncles used to live in the other part of the house. My father's cousin brother and my father's cousin sister, they had one big house, and we used to live in different parts, right? So my father one day told me, "Beta, do you go to uncle's house?" I said, "No, dad, I have my own classes. I have come here, I go back here, and I'm busy with that." He said, "No, beta, your uncle and auntie are not feeling well. For the next 10 days, I want you to go there and help them out." Actually, my uncle and aunt were actually suffering from viral infection at that time. So I spent a lot of time the next 15 days getting them medicines, helping them clean their drawers, making them one. I realized something after that. After 15 or 20 days, I had developed a small attachment towards my uncle and auntie. And after that, I used to go every week. The same thing happened in school. I'll tell you what I'm coming to. The same thing happened in school. Every year in school, we used to have 1 week where we had to clean our classrooms, polish our benches, whitewash the entire school. And I still, when I go to school, for those 5 years from 6th standard to 10th standard, when I used to sit in those benches, we used to go and we used to whitewash the school. Still now, when I go to my old school, I will look at those benches which are there from so many years, that small school, that small place where I whitewash, with so much affection and with so much attention. My father and my school taught me a very, very important lesson in life. The lesson is, whenever you spend time servicing or serving somebody, you grow in attachment with those particular objects or those particular people. You have a car. If your driver is cleaning that car every day, washing that car every day, after 5 years, when you sell that car, the driver will cry, you won't cry, because he has developed attachment serving that car over a period of time. If you have a bike and you're cleaning that bike every day, polishing that bike every day, using that bike every day, after 5 years, when you have to buy a new bike, you will feel really bad because you've spent time serving that bike. And the golden rule is that when you serve something, you grow in attachment with that particular thing. So, as children, now itself, if you have a family, ask them to spend some time serving some part of your house, serving that uncle, going and doing some errands for your grandmother, for your grandfather, going and pressing their legs, massaging them, doing something every day to serve them, and that will build a bond. Whatever you spend time serving, you will find that slowly but steadily you grow in attachment with that particular thing. So, importantly, joyful families are based on the foundation of time, they are based on the foundation of service. Can you spend time together, quality time together? Can you spend time in service? Why was our Gurukula system so beautiful? Because the students spent time serving their master, serving their guru, and they grew in love and devotion to their guru because they spent time serving them. And because they spent time serving them and they grew in devotion, they also grew in devotion to the connect. The guru was the connect between God and the student. So it was a beautiful system because our sages of our yesteryear were the highest psychologists. They had the most brilliant psychology. Now we understand in psychology that service increases attachment. But in our olden years itself, we understood that when you spend time filling water for the guru, when you spend time pressing the legs for the guru, you are growing in attachment. You can grow in attachment with a source of the God, and you grow it. In Krishna, when in the Bhagavad Gita, the maximum words, one word which is used, I think so, the maximum number of times in the Bhagavad Gita is anasakti, nirmoha, anasakti, that is detachment. But Lord Krishna also says the key to salvation is anasakti, detachment, nirmoha. But if you can develop attachment to me or my source, that is your liberation. If you can develop attachment to Krishna or his source, the Guru, you will move towards liberation. And the same thing happens in a family also. You start with your family. So these are the two premises which I wanted to start off with. Now let's go to some important principles or foundations of a happy family. The first foundation of a happy family is love. I think so. If there is one emotion which pervades the world, which binds the world together, it is love. And if you can give that unconditional love to your family members, that is the source of a joyful family. Family which is happy is a family which is loving. Correct? Anu? Prem Sat Chit Ananda. But Prema and Ananda are the borders. You start with love and you'll end up with bliss. You start with Prema and you end up with Ananda. Sat and Chit I'll talk later. But Prema and Ananda are the most, Prem Larry and Ananda. So if there is love, that is the source of happiness. That is the source of happiness to anything, that is love. Let me tell you a few small incidents which I encountered in my life, which have taught me unconditional love from a family member. It was 2003, 2004, and it was the annual day of our college. In those days, Jain College was a small college in VV Puram. It hadn't grown to that extent, and now I'm teaching in the Jayanagar 9th block. But in those days, I was there in the VV campus, and it was our annual day, 2003, 2004, and it was very colorful. It was a beautiful day where everybody was wearing, the girls had worn saris, the boys with suits, there was fragrance in the air. And then the most coveted moment came for the for the annual day, the best outgoing student. And they announced the best outgoing student for the year 2003 2004 is Sumant Pargi. And there was this boy who ran on the stage, and there was lot of clapping and cheering, and people were very excited. There was a man who was sitting next to me. He immediately got up and he started clapping and cheering. As soon as he had finished clapping and cheering and he sat down, I asked him, I was in the second row, and I said, "Sir, are you related to Sumant?" He said, "Yes, sir, I am Sumant's father. My name is Raj Pargi." I said, "Fantastic, sir. Congratulations. Your son has got the best outgoing student. He's a very good student. I teach him." He said, "What's your name, sir?" I said, "My name is Dr. Rajdeep Manwani." He said, "Yeah, he talks to me. You teach him income tax, isn't it?" I said, "Yes, yes, sir. I teach him income tax." So we got to talk. Now, there was some lecture which was going on the stage. So just to carry the conversation forward, I spoke to him and I said, "Sir, your son might have won a lot of prizes, right, when he was young?" Uh, that man was a little puzzled. Then he looked at me and he said, "No." Now, I was a little shocked because logic tells me that if a person has won several laurels now in his final year as the best outgoing student, he might have started, he might be academically good right from the time when he started his studies. So this was a little confusing for me, but I also thought might be this is very interesting. That means this boy has gone through a transformation and I must speak to him, to his dad. So I told, "Sir, after the function, can we sit in our staff room and have a cup of coffee together, sir?" He said, "Definitely, sir." So the annual day function was over. After the annual day function was over, we went to our staff room and we I ordered 2 coffees and I started talking to him. He told me one of the most fascinating stories of love. I told, sir, you told me Sumant was uh, didn't win any prizes when he was young. How's it, sir? He told me, Rajdeep, sir, when Sumant was born in our family, we were extremely happy. We came from a traditional family, and a boy being born in a family was considered very good, and we were so happy. We distributed laddus. We were so happy, but our joy was very short lived because after a few months, we found that Sumant's head was slumping to the side, and there was a lot of froth formation in his mouth. And we thought there's something wrong, but we didn't take much attention. But after 7 or 8 months, it continued. And the problem was he could not stand, sir. When people start crawling, he was just lying down. And we went to a pediatrician. The pediatrician told, I think so, there is some problem with this child. Please take him to a pediatric neurosurgeon. So we took him to a pediatric neurosurgeon because even at 11 months, he could not stand, he could not walk, nothing. The pediatric neurosurgeon said, okay, let me do something. He took an MRI and brain scan. After he took the MRI and brain scan, he came up to me and he said, Mr. Raj, I must give you some very bad news. I said, what happened, doctor? He said, your son Sumant is a spastic. He's suffering from cerebral palsy. He will never be able to walk, talk, or count up to 10 all his life. He will never be able to walk, talk, or count up to 10 all his life. He's suffering from cerebral palsy. He's a spastic. But I couldn't believe this, sir. I said, no, God cannot do this to me. I went to 10 different doctors across Bangalore. And every doctor told me the same thing. Your son is a spastic. He's got cerebral palsy, severe cerebral palsy. He will not be able to walk, talk, or count up to 10 all his life. But I had that belief, sir. I love my son so much. There will be some breakthrough which will happen. And one day when I was going through the newspaper, I saw an article which said one of the world's leading experts on cerebral palsy, Dr. Jim Andrews, is coming to Nimhans. And he will be here in Bangalore for 3 days. And I thought, this is the opportunity. I immediately rushed to Nimhans and I asked the receptionist to give me an appointment because I wanted to show my son Sumant. The receptionist told, very sorry, sir. I'm extremely sorry. Because the first day when Dr. Jim Andrews is coming, he has a seminar and he's there from morning 8 to evening 8. He's booked. The next 2 days, he has appointments from morning 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening. So there is no chance. I begged her, pleaded her, but she didn't listen. And in those days, there was no internet, there was no WhatsApp, there was no Instagram, nothing. Sir, I went and hunted for an international directory. Somehow I got the phone number of Dr. Jim Andrews and I made an ISD call, international subscriber dial. In those days, we had we had only landlines. I made an ISD call to Dr. Andrews' clinic. He picked up the phone and he said, yes. I said, sir, I'm calling from India, Bangalore. I want you to do me a small favor. When you're coming to Bangalore and coming to Nimhans, I want you to see my son, sir. Dr. Jim Andrews was a kind man. He said, Mr. Parki, I'm very sorry. I have an appointment from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening for both the days. The first day I'm in a seminar, but I can do one thing. If you can be in the waiting room and if any patient backs out, your son will be the first person whom I will take inside. On the first day, I waited from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening. Nobody backed out. Second day, from morning 8 to afternoon 2:30, nobody had backed out and I was losing hope. But then one patient did not turn up, and I took my son Sumant inside. I showed Dr. Jim Andrews the 10 reports of his medical condition. Dr. Jim Andrews took the reports and he threw it to the side and he said, no, no, I will do all the scans again. After 45 minutes, after doing all the scans again, he called me inside and he said, Mr. Pargi, I must tell you what the other doctors were telling you was absolutely true. Your son has cerebral palsy. But I can tell you one more thing. If you can stretch this boy's physical endurance beyond human imagination, and if you never let this boy know that he's got a mental disorder, miracles are known to happen. If you can stretch this boy's physical endurance beyond human imagination, and if you never let this boy know that he's got a mental disorder, miracles are known to happen. Sir, I love this boy so much that that very evening in the basement of my house, I set up a mini gym and I hired a physical instructor just to move the limbs of my son. For 1 year, 2 years, nothing happened. Everybody used to tell me, Mr. Raj, you're a fool. Nothing will happen. He's got cerebral palsy. But I did not believe, sir. I knew my love can transform this boy. 3 years, 4 years, 4.5 years, nothing happened, sir. And one day after 4.5 years, I got a call from my physical instructor. My physical instructor told me, sir, your son is ready. I told you, what do you mean my son is ready? He told, please come and see, sir. I immediately took my car, went home, ran down to the basement of my house. There I saw Sumant. On the mattress, he was doing a push-up. As he was doing the push-up, the mental and emotional strain and the physical strain on the boy was so great that every single pore of his body was soaked in sweat. Not only that, sir, the mattress on which he was doing the exercise was also drenched with water, sir. Not only the water from the boy's body, sir, but also from my eyes. Today, if Sumant is the college TT champion, table tennis champion, if he's got above 80% in all the years, it's all because I did not give up and I had unconditional love for this boy. The story becomes even more fascinating if you know that Sumant passed out from Jain College. He went on to do his MBA in Cardiff, UK. And as a part of the campus recruitment, he got selected for a bank, Deutsche Bank, as an investment analyst. And as an investment analyst and an investment broker, Deutsche Bank is a very stressful job because you have to buy, sell shares on a continuous basis, and it involves a lot of stress. So Deutsche Bank has a very, very severe medical examination before they recruit the candidate. When they did the medical examination of Sumant and they took his brain scan, they found something very, very strange. There were no neurons connecting the left side and the right side of the brain. But because of the effort this boy had put when he was young, because his father had loved him and given him the support, the left side of his brain was so well developed that it was compensating for the lack of neurons between the left side and the right side. Today, Sumant is working for RBS, Royal Bank of Scotland in Edinburgh. He is a father of 2 children, but till now he tells me, sir, I don't know what my dad did. And whenever I speak to his father, Raj, he always tells me, sir, I didn't do anything. I just loved him. That is the power of transformation of love. That's the power of transformation, the miracles which love can do. You love somebody unconditionally without judging him. You don't know what can happen. There was a very famous story which most of you all would have known, but I'm just going to repeat it because it illustrates the importance of love in a joyful family. There was this boy who used to, who loved playing football, and he used to go every day to practice. But he wasn't so good in playing, and the coach used to tell him, no, no, you're not a good dribbler, you can't kick the ball so well. But whatever happened, his father used to come with him and he used to sit in the stands and he used to cheer him. Even if he gets 2 minutes chance to play, and his coach used to feel sad, okay, give him 2 minutes at least. And every day his father used to be on the come with his son and he used to keep cheering him, come on, boy, you can do it, fantastic, keep it up. And this boy used to play only for 3 4 minutes out of 1 hour, 1.5 hour game, and his father used to never leave it. He used to always be like a support and cheerleader system for his son, sitting at the corner of the field, shouting and cheering for his boy, even though the boy was not good. There was an important tournament of the school, and the boy came one day, and it was the first few rounds the team had won, and still the father used to come and used to cheer, even though the substitution used to be only 2 minutes, 3 minutes, etc. One day, when the school reached the final of the tournament, that boy's father didn't come. And this boy also was sitting quietly in the corner. But at halftime, they found that the team was losing 4-0. And only a miracle could make them. Only if they scored 5 goals in the second half, they can win. This boy came up to the coach and said, let me play, coach. Let me play, coach, today. So this coach said, how can I let you play? We are losing 4-0. You're a very ordinary player. I can't let you play, please. He said, coach, anyway, we are losing. Give me some time at least today, please. The coach said, okay, if you are losing anyway, you go and play. This boy played like a lion. He started dribbling, he started scoring. In the next 45 minutes, this boy alone scored the 5 goals, and the team won 5-4. And all the people were so excited. The team was stunned. What has happened to this boy suddenly? What transformation? And they all carried him on the shoulder. Wow, you're a jolly good fellow. Amazing, this, that. The school won the tournament, and the coach was totally surprised. He came up to the boy and he said, I don't know what happened to you today, but you didn't act, you played like nobody has ever played in this history. You are such an ordinary player. He said, coach, there was a small difference which was there today. Did you not notice my father didn't come today? He said, yes. He said, 2 days back my father had died, and you might not know that my father was blind. He never could see me play, but he used to always cheer me from the side. Today, for the first time, I think my father will see me from heaven. That's why I played for my father. That is love. Supporting, cheering people from the side, doing that encouragement. Love is appreciating, love is encouraging, love is putting yourself in front of him. When I had lost my eyesight, as I told you, one incident I told you about my father, but there was one other incident which happened, which showed the love of my grandfather. In those days when I went blind, there was not much scope for people who were blind. Either you become a music teacher or you become a telephone operator, and everything was dark. And in where I used to live in my apartment, lot of these my grandfather's friends used to come, and they used to come and tell him, oh my god, your grandson has become blind, what will he do? His future is very dark. What will your grandson do? He can't see now. And my grandfather purposely, loudly, so that I could hear, I used to be in the other room. He used to purposely, loudly tell all his friends. He used to tell it in Hindi, but I'll translate it in English for you. He used to say, what if my grandson cannot see the world? There will be a day when the world will see my grandson. What if my grandson cannot see the world? There will be a day when the world will see my grandson. क्या हो गया अगर मेरा पोता दुनिया को देख नहीं सकता है? एक दिन आएगा जब दुनिया उसको देखेगी. And he used to purposely tell me, and I used to feel so happy. I used to feel so encouraged. Today, if I've achieved anything, if I've won the national award, if I've done a TED talk, if I've got the government of Karnataka award 2 times, it's always because I feel my grandfather is seeing me somewhere and he might be smiling. The love and affection which he gave me at that time proved to be magical for me now. So that unconditional love is the bonding, is that point which makes you connect with your family. Can you give that love? Then how do you give that love? That's the question. How do I cultivate love for my family? Now I'm going to talk about a little bit of research. Okay, very, very important research. Two important points to cultivate love. Two very, very important points. One, there is a very famous author from California, from the University of California. His name is John Gottman. Now, John Gottman has written two beautiful books, Making Relationships Last and Making Love Last. And in that, he said, the way in which you cultivate love and relationship is by creating something called as sliding door moments. What are the sliding door moments? Every time you as an individual open your heart to somebody, like a door, open your heart. You've seen a lift door, no, sliding door. And pay attention to somebody, you create a sliding door moment. Every time you do not pay attention to somebody in your family and you turn away from him when you have an opportunity to show some affection or love, you are closing the sliding door. And he said the maximum reason why marriages break up is because the partners in marriage do not create enough sliding door moments. The maximum reason why children move away from their parents is because parents do not create enough sliding door moments. What do you mean by that? Let's say you're driving with your son or your daughter in a car, and your daughter and son looks out of the window and say, "Daddy, look at that procession is going, Ganesha." You say, "Shut up, man. I've seen so many Ganesha processions in my life. You want me to see one more? Huh? Let me concentrate on the road. You don't know Bangalore traffic?" You have shut the sliding door at that particular point of time. You are sitting in the morning, and you are forwarding some stupid WhatsApp messages, good morning, good night, with sun here, there, correct? Or you are looking at your Facebook profile. You have 500 Facebook friends whose face you have not seen. Okay, and you are doing that, and your son, daughter, or your wife or husband comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to tell you something." You say, "No, no, no, no. Let me finish this message. For me, Facebook is important." You shut the door at that particular point of time. You have lost the chance of creating a sliding door moment. But let's say when your son tells, "Look at that Ganesha procession," and you tell him, "Oh, wow, beautiful Ganesha. Let's stop the car 2 minutes. We'll see it together. How nice, no?" And you sit with your son and you look at the Ganesha. You have opened your heart to him. You have given him attention at that particular point of time. You have opened and you have created a sliding door moment. When you are sitting on your mobile and forwarding a stupid WhatsApp message, and when your wife or your husband or your children come to you and you want to tell you something, you keep the mobile aside and tell, "Yeah, what can I do for you? Should I open the door or should I get the milk from down?" You have created a sliding door moment. The more time you give creating affectionate moments, moments of love, where you pay attention to your family members, you create sliding door moments. And the more and more you create sliding door moments, the more and more you grow in love. Let me give you some examples. When my sister was very young, around 14, she had a lot of pimples on her face, lot of pimples, and she used to feel very, very awkward going out. She used to say, my God, how will I go out? What will people think? Correct? And one day my grandmother noticed this. She said, oh my God, how do I make this girl understand that something is good? So she went up to my sister and she said, Beta, do you know these pimples are so cute? They look so nice. When I was young, I always wanted to have pimples. I wanted to have these small, small red, but I never had them. These pimples are the most beautiful thing. My sister told, really, Dadi? She said, yeah, really. My sister got the confidence that day that pimples look good and they're very nice. And from that day, she came down to play in the apartment. She used to go out and she used to see those pimples as a badge of honor. After a few days, my sister came up to my grandmother and she said, Dadi, you told me lies. She said, what lies I told you? She said, Daddy, you told the pimples are the most beautiful thing. My grandmother said, oh my God, somebody would have poisoned her. She said, yeah, your pimples are so beautiful. They are the most beautiful thing. She said, no, Dadi, there is something more beautiful than pimples. My grandmother said, yeah, what is more beautiful than pimples? My sister touched my grandmother's face and said, wrinkles. And that is a sliding door moment. It was a sliding door moment for my grandmother. Till my grandmother died, she used to tell the same thing and she used to have tears in her eyes. You know what is most beautiful? Wrinkles. And she used to tell everybody, can you create those sliding door moments? Can you go today? Your spouse loves to eat Mangalore bhaji. Without telling her when you're coming back from office, buy Mangalore bhajis and say, today I got this for you. Your child comes back every day from college or school in bus. Can you go one day and pick up your child and take him out for lunch? You're creating a sliding door moment. Might be one day you can go to your parents' house and just tell, I came to visit you. You like this kheer? No, take this. Can you wish somebody birthday, your far relative, or somebody whom you have not spoken to in your family? Create those sliding door moments. The more and more you create those sliding door moments, the more and more your love will blossom. Create those sliding door moments. I teach in my college a subject called organizational behavior, and I told my students once that, see, we talk so much about behavior and affection. I want you all to do a practical assignment. They said, what? I said, see here, why don't you all go and hug your parents today in the evening and tell me what the reaction of your parents was the next day? All of them said, no, sir, nonsense, sir. What sort of stupid assignment is this, sir? We are already 19. How do you want us to show affection to our parents like this? Go and hug them and tell what reaction and come. I don't know, that's the assignment you have to do. Otherwise, you won't get 5 marks for your internal assessment. So everybody said, oh, this, that, and all that. One of them, the next day, I told them, okay, come and tell. One girl came and told, sir, I went and hugged my mother. You know what happened? She immediately asked me, what you want? Then there was one more boy who said, sir, this happened, that happened. But there was one story which was amazing. There was one boy who came up and he said, sir, sir, my father is an inspector in the police department. And my mother is very close to me, but she's gone out of station. She's gone to visit her parents. So me and my father are living alone, and I'm very scared of my father. So he always will be shouting at me. He'll always be screaming, and he's got a mustache. He's very, very difficult, sir. But sir, he passed my B. He came back in the evening, and you had given me that assignment. He passed my B once. I got so scared. I'll tell sir that I hugged my parent, and I'll give something. But I told no, I can't cheat my teacher like this. So when he passed my B for the third time, I took the courage, went forward, and I hugged my father. Sir, what happened? My father hugged me even tighter, sir. And you know what, sir? When he was leaving me, there was a drop of tear in his eye. So the only regret which I have in life is, sir, that I will never get to see that affection again in my life. And that is a sliding door moment. Can you create those sliding door moments? And the reason why I told you this story is because there is the second most important way of cultivating love. Now, what I'm going to tell might sound very, very controversial, but this is research based, so you can't help it. Now, we are living in a pandemic where you have to maintain social distancing, etc. But remember this in your life: once the pandemic is over and before the pandemic started, the language of love is touch. The language of love is touch. When a child is born, haven't you seen that? When a child is born, what do? Because the first experience which you get in the womb of your mother is touch, the touch of your mother. And when the child comes out, haven't you seen that they put the child together with lot of towels and lot of bed sheets so that he feels that he's being touched by his mother? And haven't you seen that when a child is born, even when the mother is sleeping and the child is sleeping on the other side, it will roll together and come towards the mother? In fact, research has shown that when children are born, and even if they are fed milk, but if they are not touched by their mother for the first 15 days, they die. They feel lack of love and affection and they die. A child needs to be touched, and that feeling of touch is a very, very important messenger of love. What I tell is, can you create that expression of love by touching? Can you hug your parents every day in the morning and the evening? Nobody is going to get coronavirus. The family, if one person has got, everybody's got. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, please. You'll go and tell me, sir, social distancing. In your house, only 4 people are there or 5 people are there. It doesn't matter. Can you go and hug your father and mother every day? Can you hug your children every day? In fact, again, research has shown that elderly people who are fed medicines by their family members, who are touched and fed medicines by their family members, show greater signs of recovery than those who take medicines on their own. Haven't you seen your mother when she's in the hospital or somebody is in the ICU? The first thing they'll say, Beta, come near, let me hold your hand. Because they feel love when they are touched. Create instances where you can hug your parents. They are old, they need your help. Uh, Create a situation. I make it a point to at least massage my mother's legs at least for 5 minutes every day because they need that love. You can create that. Your parents, you can touch their feet, you can massage them for 5 minutes every day. For your children, it's so very important. When you're waking your children up, wake them up by giving them a hug. When they're sleeping, before sleeping, give them a hug. No, sir. And what happens is in the early days you do this. By the time they reach 12, 13, you forget hugging your children. And I'm going to tell you one very shocking news. Again, this is very controversial, but this is proven in research. When criminals were actually, when research was done on criminals, and especially these perverted criminals who indulge in rape, molestation, and all these things, it was found that 99% of these criminals were not hugged or touched enough during their childhood. So, what happens is they are starved for touch. And because they are starved for touch, their eyes become vulgar, they become perverted, they start looking for touch somewhere else. And the greatest cause for perversion in this world is because they don't feel loved. And they don't feel loved because they're not being touched enough. And I'm not telling this is, type it out. 5 researches are carried across 3 different continents in India, in Australia, and Kenya. The record for criminals is for those people who haven't experienced enough love, who haven't experienced enough touch when they were young. The reason for perversion, pornography in the world is only this, because you're not touching your children enough and they look for touch somewhere else. So the second way in which you develop love is by touching. Hug your parents every day. Hug your children every day, make it a point that I know we are talking about social distancing, but this is not, I'm talking about a joyful family. Do that. You will see miracles happening in your relationship. So, the first important thing which I want to tell you is what developing a joyful family is unconditional love. Unconditional love is developed through sliding door moments, it's developed through touch. The language of love is touch. And if you can touch your children more and long enough, you will find that they will turn out to be beautiful citizens and later ethical citizens over a period of time. Second, which I want to talk to you is build up emotional maturity. If you want to have a joyful family, there should be emotional maturity. What do you mean by this emotional maturity is? Let me tell you an incident. There was this lady, she had taken her small child who was 6 years old to a mall. And when she took her to the mall, what she found was that this girl saw one teddy bear and she was very, very excited. She said, "Mummy, I want that teddy bear. Mummy, I want that teddy bear." So this lady said, "You want that teddy bear? But you bought only one last week." She said, "No, Mummy, I want that teddy bear." And children are very manipulative, no? So what the child did, it sat on the ground and started screaming, "I want that teddy bear. I want that teddy bear." She started creating a big ruckus. You know, parents get scared, no? If they go in departmental store, they create ruckus, means everybody's seeing, they'll buy it off. This child was crying. This lady stood next to the child and said very calmly, "Relax, Sunita, relax. Relax, Sunita, relax." One man was passing by that place and he came up to the lady and he said, "Madam, you are an amazing mother. If I had a child like this who's creating so much ruckus and making so much noise, I will slap that child. I will take it home and make it learn a lesson. You're an amazing mother. Your daughter Sunita is very lucky to have a mother like you." The lady looked at the man and said, "Who told my daughter's name is Sunita? My name is Sunita. I am telling myself to relax. And I want you to do the same thing." Emotional maturity is not getting angry for every small thing and creating a confusion in your life. Emotional maturity is knowing when to get angry and knowing when to hold back your emotions. In fact, when I do marriage counseling for in Banjara Academy, I tell those couples, and especially couples when they get married, first 1 year they won't fight and all. That means they're acting. Every family there will be fights, there will be expression. It's good. You have to express your emotions because where can you show your emotions? See, when your husband is shouting at you in the house, he might have had some problem in the office, correct? He cannot shout at his boss. So where does he find his emotional expression? The family, because he feels secure in the family. When the wife is shouting in the house, she might have had some problem and she has to let out her emotion. And where you will let out your emotions, you will be nasty to the people whom you love the most. You know why? Because you feel secure with them. You know that they won't leave you. So you will express your emotions the maximum with the people whom you, with your children, with your wife, with your husband, with those people whom you love the most. That's okay because families, there will be emotional outbursts and it will balance out. Sometimes you'll feel emotionally, sometimes you'll have emotions. And unless you don't let out your emotions, emotions suppressed will destroy the relationship. Emotions expressed will hurt the relationship for some time, but it will balance out. Sometimes you'll express something. So you need to express your emotions. That is, I'm not against that. You have to shout, you have to shout. You have to tell out, you have to tell out. But what happens is when we counsel, in the first 1 year they won't fight because they want to show off to others, "Oh, I'm good." Okay, but afterwards, when everybody will have differences, okay. But what I tell them is, when one person is emotionally charged, the other person should cool down. That is the key. If one person is screaming and if the other person also starts screaming, then there is a big problem in the house. If one person is emotionally charged, you have to hold yourself at that particular point of time. If the other person, give that space, have that space. See, total you have to make 100, right? So one day you're feeling 30%, your level is 30%, you're in a bad mood. Then the wife should come up with 70%. One day the wife is at 25%, very bad day, not good, servant income. Then the husband should take up 75%. It's not 50-50. Someday you are 30, the husband is 70. Someday the husband is 40, you are 60. Whole thing should come up to 100. So you will have emotional outbursts, but both of you all should balance in such a way that if today I am in a bad mood, I should supplement him at that particular point of time. Today, tomorrow, if he's in a bad mood, I should supplement him at that particular point of time. I say emotional outbursts are allowed, but both of y'all emotionally shouting and screaming and creating a quarrel is not allowed. Second thing, whenever we quarrel, we will end the quarrel by sunset. If we quarreled in the morning, don't carry it to the next day. And if you fought in the night, end it by morning. Nobody is going to become smaller and bigger by apologizing or talking to each other. There is a principle which is called the principle of emotional flow, which is very important for you to understand. What is this principle of emotional flow is whenever a person is emotionally charged, whenever a person is emotionally charged, whatever you tell him, it will not make sense to him. Whatever you tell him. So if your wife is emotionally charged or your child is emotionally charged and you are trying to advise him, be sure he'll never understand. So what you have to do is keep quiet. Just keep quiet. Wait till that storm gets over and then go and speak to that person. That time he is more important to understand. So when my wife is screaming at me, first I used to scream, my wife used to scream, neighbors used to enjoy. Now, when I scream, she keeps quiet. When she screams, I keep. Whenever she screams, I'll go off. I'll keep quiet. After she cools down, she'll only bring one glass of water. She should be drinking water. She'll bring a glass of water and give me. I'll say, okay, okay. But we do not try and see there is a shouting match at the same time, because whatever you speak to a person when he's an emotionally charged state, he will not understand. Even if you're reasoning out to him, you will never win an argument. You will only tire a person out of an argument. You will never win an argument. You will only tire a person out of the argument. I'll tell you an incident. I teach for the chartered accountancy students, okay? And there was this girl some years back. She rang me up and she said, "Sir, I got one out of 200. I got 181, sir. I missed the rank by 2 marks, sir." And I kept on. I said, "Yeah, you missed the mark. Don't worry. Next time you'll get rank." She kept on crying. I kept on talking. After I went the next day, one of her friends came and told, "Sir, that girl is telling you didn't want her to get a rank." And I didn't tell anything of that sort. But I had missed the principle of emotional flow. She was in an emotional state of distress. She was angry. She was disappointed. And I had tried to reason with her at that time. She didn't understand anything. The next year, one more girl, she missed a rank by 1 mark. She also called me up. She said, "Sir, I missed rank by 1 mark." This time I understood. Only sounds. Shoo, pa. She kept on crying. I kept on making sounds. Next day, when I knew she had settled down, I called her up and I gave her the same speech. "Oh, fantastic. You can do it next time." This, that same motivational speech. That same evening, she bought one big Cadbury's Dairy Milk Silk and she gave it to me and she said, "Rajdeep sir, you're the best teacher." Principle of emotional flow. Don't get emotional at the wrong time. There was this very famous story of Swami Chinmayananda. It seems one lady came up to Swami Chinmayananda and she said, "Swamiji, I always fight with this mother-in-law of mine. It's horrible." Swami Chinmayananda told, "Okay, don't worry." He took some water. He told, "Okay, I'm praying over this." He put some water. He put some tulsi leaves inside the water. He did, "I've done this praying. Take this water and drink this water." your mother-in-law will become okay. She said, how many times should I drink this water in a day? He told her, whenever your mother-in-law shouts, that time only you drink this water. And don't stop drinking this water till your mother-in-law is finished. If you want more, I'll get for you. After 15 days, she came back and said, sir, it's improved. Because now when she shouts, I'm drinking water, so I can't speak. And now she's also cooled down, and I have cooled down. So to make this, drink water when they shout. Because when you speak, when the words come out, you never know in a state of emotional fall what words are coming out. And you might say some words which will destroy the relationship. One wrong statement made at the wrong time can destroy your relationship. So just control that. Have that very, very important aspect of emotional flow. So have that emotional maturity. Realize this is extremely important. The problem is that we always say, no, sir, it's that person's mistake. This is my wife's mistake. Realize this. It's not the question of whose mistake. It's the question of whose life. I'll give you an example. Let's say one lorry is coming in the road. You are driving a small car, Maruti car. The lorry is coming in the wrong way. You will say, how dare that lorry comes in the wrong way? Whatever happens, I'll go and bang that lorry because he's going in the wrong way. Will you do that? When you come, if you do that, I'll touch your feet now only. As soon as the lorry comes near, you will turn it. Even though the lorry is coming the wrong way, you have to save your life. It's not the question of whose mistake, it's the question of whose life. Second lorry is also coming the wrong way. One truck is coming. You are going in the right direction, left. He's coming from the middle and he's coming towards you. Do you think you'll say, oh, second time, how can I go? Second time I have to. How much can I tolerate this mistake? Second time, though, I will go and bang him. Will you tell that? Or you will turn your car? You'll turn your car. 15th lorry is coming. Now it's too much. Now you'll think government has changed the law. It's not the question of whose mistake. It's the question of whose life. Remember this. You have to decide. It's not the question of whose mistake. And see, everybody has their mistakes. You think you're on the right side. They think they are on the right side. Who's right? Who knows? You're not a judge, okay? You are a family member who has to live. So it's not the question of whose mistake, it's the question of who. And everybody makes mistakes. Who doesn't make mistakes? Everybody makes mistakes. It's your immaturity to think that that fellow will not make mistakes or this lady will not make mistakes. It's not the question of whose mistake, it's the question of whose life. There's a beautiful U-turn. What is that movie, U-turn? Remember that movie, U-turn? You have to turn, not the other person. Correct? Even if the lorry is going wrong way, you have to adjust, isn't it? Emotional maturity is adjusting at the right time. It's not the question of whose life. Mistake is the question of whose. And sometimes mistakes may be made. You might have anger. You might think. But some people are that. It's your immaturity because your expectations are high of that person. And that person is not bound to live up to your expectations. Come on. Nobody is bound to live up to your expectation. Let me ask you this question. Have you always lived up to your own expectations? No. Have you always lived up to other people's expectations? No. If you're honest, then you have no right to expect other people to live up to your expectations. If you are not living up to your own expectations, if you are not living up to other person's expectation, then what right do you have that other person will always live up to your? You want your son to get 100 on 100. You want your wife to be Sati Savitri. You want your husband to be Lord Krishna. All those are unrealistic expectations. Even if your expectations are valid, how do you know that person will live up to your expectations? Manage your expectations. Your expectations. See, even if you go and do puja in front of a mango tree and go 100 terms around it, will that mango tree start giving oranges? You tell me. You put one daga on that, You do one prayer, you do one havan in front of a mango tree. Will it change and start giving oranges? You have to learn to live with eating those mangoes only, right? You can't do anything else, right? So just remember that it's not the question of whose mistake, it's the question of whose life. And always remember this in emotional maturity, that you have to handle your emotions in the right manner. I'll tell you a small story which was very interesting, and then I'll end and I'll open it for questions. There was this Nobel laureate called Oliver Smithy, and he was asked once, what made you come out? He won the Nobel Prize for Physics, and they asked him, how did you win? In fact, I'll end with two stories of very important scientists. So he said, when I was young, I had gone to the refrigerator and I took out some milk from the refrigerator, and the bottle fell and it broke and it all spilt on the ground. At that time, my mother came and I thought she's going to shout because I'd made a mistake. But my mother looked at me and said, oh, you dropped this milk. Oh, but if you've dropped this milk, we have to find a way of cleaning it up. So how do you want to clean it? Do you want to take the mop? Do you want to take the broom, or you want to get the bucket? He'll say, Mummy, I will take the mop. So she said, okay, come, let's do it together. So they took the mop and we cleaned up the milk on the floor. Then she took me to the back garden and she said, see, you dropped that milk. You know why you dropped that milk? Do you know? He said, Mummy, I held it from the end. It was too big, the base, so it fell off. So she said, okay, let's fill up one more milk bottle and see that next time you take it out, you don't drop it. So she filled up water. And then I came to know, if I hold the milk bottle on the top where the rim is small, I don't have to wear it. And I did it. And that day I realized that my mother was not punishing me for my mistakes. She was telling me what to do so that my mistakes become better. So my fear of failure went off. And because my fear of failure went off, I experimented so much in my life on physics. And today I won the Nobel Prize, all because of my loving mother, because she did not consider mistakes as mistakes. She considered mistakes as learning opportunities. So keep this in mind. One more scientist, Albert Einstein, was once asked, what's the secret of your happy marriage? You are now married for 50 years. He said, at the time when we got married, we took a decision that all the major decisions will be taken by me and all the minor decisions will be taken by her. So he said, yeah, okay. So now, are you taking all the major decisions? He said, no. In these 50 years, there never was a chance to take a major decision. There were only minor decisions. That's why a happy marriage. And he said something else. For a happy marriage, she goes her way and I go her way. So you have to learn to adjust. So just remember this. My time has traveled really quickly. One, the basis or the foundation of a joyful family is time. The more you spend time with your family, anything you spend time with grows. Anything which doesn't spend time with shrinks. Spend more time. Second, not only do you have to spend time, but also spend quality time, and spend quality time by service. When you serve something, you grow in attachment to that particular thing. These are the two. So create opportunities for service for somebody else. Second, this was the foundation. First, unconditional love. Create those moments. How do you create unconditional love? Sliding door moments. Open your heart. Pay attention at that particular point of time. Create as many sliding door moments. Second is touch. Hug your children in the morning. Hug your parents in the morning. Hug your children in the night. Create those expression. Love grows in absence, but finds fruition and nutrition in touch and in presence. Second, gain in emotional maturity. It's not the question of whose mistake, it's the question of whose life. You have to turn, you turn. And also remember one more thing, the principle of emotional flow. Whenever you speak to somebody when he's in a state of emotion, he will not understand what you're saying. So wait till the storm passes. You have to express your emotions, but the emotions do not have to be expressed at the same time. Second, manage your expectations. If you don't live up to your own expectations, if you don't live up to other people's expectations, you have no right to ask other people to live up to your expectations. Even if you do, if you try expecting mangoes from an orange tree, it's your immaturity. And second, tolerate mistakes, accept the mistakes. Take mistakes as a learning opportunity, not as a moment to kill somebody or condemn him for life. If you observe these few things, might be you will grow a lot in your joyful family. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this impactful session. I would like to make a request to the listeners now before we proceed to the question answer session. Please find the feedback and donation forms in the chat box. Kindly give your feedback, valuable feedback, so that we get better in our upcoming webinars. I also request you to generously donate to these sessions, and we promise you to organize more such meaningful webinars. And as most of you know, that this is our second grand webinar on the extremely relevant topic. Let us take the question answer, sir, now.
Yeah, if there are. Yeah.
Yeah, we are getting very good comments on the session. Smita ma'am says, excellent session, sir. And Maitri Hegde says, awesome talk. Thank you, Amar, for making this possible. Preeti Desai says, very insightful session. Tanveer sir says absolutely amazing session. Savita ma'am says, thanks a lot, sir. It was a very insightful and thoughtful session. And we have one more person saying it was excellent and well explained session.
Man, I lost your voice.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes, sir. So Preeti also says, we know we don't have to expect, but still, whenever we do something,
Yeah.
a little bit of expectation do arise. So how do
Definitely
we
that.
overcome that?
That's absolutely valid. You have expectations. What I'm trying to tell you is expect, but understand that your expectations will not be met all the time. That's all I want you to understand. You can expect, you expect your child to do well. I know all parents expect their child to get 90%, but you don't understand there is something called heredity. Okay, so there will be something. You might have got 60% in your exams and your parents expected the same. Expect, but also realize that sometimes your expectations will be met, sometimes their expectations will not be met. I'm not telling you not to expect, but always develop that maturity and keep that in mind that you will expect, but don't expect that your expectations will be met all the time. Sometimes your expectations will be met, sometimes the expectations will not be
We
met.
have one more question, sir,
Yeah,
from Richa Kelkar. So
yeah.
she says, absolute pleasure to listen to you, sir. Coincidentally, she's also from Nasik. She's
Yeah.
very happy to hear you lived here. And a thought that is extremely trending is all you need in your life is yourself. No one else can make you happy except yourself. And this doesn't mean not expecting anything from the other person in the relationship. So please elaborate on being clingy and being independent. Allowing someone to help us and vice versa is crucial.
Okay, now you have to understand one thing. Basically, you what's the difference in being independent and being clingy? The important thing of being clingy is that you get attached to the other person. You get attached to the other person's reactions. You get attached to a person's emotions. So if that person cries, even you cry. If that person laughs, even you laugh. That is getting attached. There is something called detached attachment, where you love a person, but you also know that I will not be dragged down to the level of that person by my attachment. So if that person is sad, yes, I will empathize with him, I will be compassionate to him, I will do whatever I can to help him. But it doesn't mean that even I will get involved with that person, and even if he's going through a depression, even I go through a depression. Because see, when you get dragged down, see, when you're helping a person in a ditch, you don't have to get into the ditch, right? You can be outside the ditch and pull him out, right? That is what compassion is all about, right? Compassion, empathy is doing whatever you can in your will, but not coming down to the emotional maturity of that person. You should understand this person's maturity is this much. I will do whatever I want to help that person, but I will keep my sanity, I will keep my equanimity, I will keep my level of understanding. Because if two people are in the same ditch, nobody can come out. But if one person is outside the ditch, he can come out, he can help you out, right? You should be at a level higher than the other person. And that is what is independence. Independence is being in a state where you are able to help the other person with all the compassion, with all the empathy, but not getting dragged down to the emotional level of the other person. Correct? And it takes time, it doesn't happen all of a sudden, right? So practice, understanding, meditation, introspection, you will come to a position where you will start loving the world but not get dragged down to the level of the other person. And there's only so much you can do because everybody has their own experiences. I think so. I'll take this last question. I'm going to tell you a small story from the Mahabharata and we'll end with this. Because, see, there in the entire Mahabharata, there's only one place where Lord Krishna cries. When uh, Abhimanyu is killed. And when Abhimanyu is killed, what happens is Arjuna is inconsolable. He is inconsolable, absolutely crying, and he's hitting his head. And Krishna is standing behind him. And as he's standing, one drop falls from Krishna's eyes and it falls at the back of Arjuna. And Arjuna feels this and he turns back and he says, Achyuta, you are crying? You are crying? I didn't know. You yourself are crying. You're the Lord. Krishna said, I'm not crying because Abhimanyu has died. I'm crying because of the understanding the futility of what one person can do for another person. He said, why? He said, I explained to you 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, one-to-one coaching. Krishna was the greatest Jagat Guru. I explained to you 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita and I told you that a soul never dies, only it gets transferred from one body to the other. And even after telling you all this, explaining to you one by one, I just couldn't imagine how you cried so much on the death of your son. So I am crying because I understood that this is only that much a person can do for another person. This is only what a teacher can do for another person. I can explain to you, but unless you go through that experience, you are never going to learn. So if Krishna himself could not pull out Arjuna from the bondage of attachment after explaining 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, what are we? So this is only that much you can do for another. You can love them, you can compassion them, but each person has their own life, each person has their own experiences, and they have to go through their experiences to learn something in life. Thank you so much.
We have one more question, sir. How can we convey our concern and love for our family members without making them feel overwhelmed or uncomfortable? For instance, if they are not keen on being hugged or any physical show of affection or even being told they are loved, how to still convey it to them?
Again, understand one thing. Whenever you have to convey something, it's not forcing somebody on something. The maximum you can do is keep communicating. Again, I'll come to the Bhagavad Gita. It took 18 chapters for Krishna to convince Arjuna to fight. So your responsibility is communicate. Just go and might be if he doesn't like to be, you don't like to be touched, it's okay. Can I shake your hand? Is that okay? You shake with everybody? Communicate. Next day you tell him, can I hug you a little more? You keep communicating. In your, what is in your hands? In your hand, you have to communicate and show your concern. Okay, I'm concerned. It is for them to accept it or not. But I've learned over a period of time that if you communicate sincerely, continuously, one time they won't hug, second time they won't hug, third time they won't hug. But if you do it continuously, one time when you ask your mother, she won't understand. Second time she won't understand. When a stone cutter is hitting a stone, he'll hit once, nothing will happen. Twice, nothing will happen. Does he give up? He'll hit it the 50th time, the stone will break. Does it mean that the 49 strokes which he hit earlier were a waste? No. It's just that it took 50 times for him to communicate. Every person takes time. Even Ravana got converted when he was on his deathbed. So your family members are better than Ravana. Correct or no? So everybody gets communicated. It's just the persistent communication with love and affection. Without getting too ego involved with all this. Slowly, okay, you don't like this? Okay, but is it okay? I want to show my concern to you. Is it okay? Slowly, continuously, once, twice, thrice, 4 times. After 10 times, your wife will get melted and she'll say, okay, I want to hug you. Correct or no? After 15 times, but communicate with love, softness. Remember, water is so soft, but it can cut the hardest rock. Why? Because it continuously flows again and again over the rock. And over a period of time, the rock softens and it breaks. So your message is to be communicated slowly, consistently over a period of time. Slowly, everything happens.
We have one more question, sir.
Till when will this go on, madam?
Okay, one last question. We have so many comments and questions on the box.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Because okay,
It is
can we
really,
have this last question? Is it okay? Please don't feel bad, but I
yes,
also have to.
last question.
Yeah, yeah.
Does really an ideal family exist, or it is just a concept?
There is no ideal family. Every one of us are imperfect when we are born on this earth. The only perfect thing is God. We are all work in progress. You are imperfect. I am imperfect. Your family is imperfect. You will fight. He will fight. Children will fight. The moment we are born on this earth, we will have some imperfection or the other. But the whole idea of this talk was not to tell you how to become an ideal family, but how you can work towards becoming an ideal family. There's a concept in mathematics called limit extends to infinity. Nobody can become infinity. Infinity is God. But slowly we'll tend towards infinity. Slowly, step by step, we will try moving towards it. So, an ideal family doesn't exist. But a joyful family can exist with all its mistakes, with all its shortcomings. That you can do. You can build up a family with imperfections who respect each other's imperfections and still love them. That is what I'm talking to you about. Correct or no? You will have a wife who will still get angry. You cannot have an ideal family. If you live in an ideal family, you will only get bored. Imagine every time you come home, your wife is always smiling, your son always does homework, your mother always gives you the tea at the right time. After 5 days, you'll feel bored. No fight. Am I living in a hotel? Have I gone to Air Indigo where I'm talking to a air hostess? You will also find it very suffocating to live in an ideal. The fun of the family is one day when you open the door, your wife hugs you. The next day when you open the door, the wife is making a dirty face. Why you came late? That where you have all these fun is when life is unexpected, when everybody has imperfection. A perfect life is absolutely boring. An imperfect life is where you enjoy life. One day you come, your son is very nice to you. The next day he's making shouting at you. Then you know every day if everybody is sweet, you'll get diabetes. That's what I want.
Right, sir. Thank you very much for this impactful session. We are activated down at the level of our atoms today. So
Huh?
that's how special your talk has been.
No,
So we have a lot to carry home back home.
thank you so
Our
much.
life has seen something unseen and unknown today under you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Can I exit or
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
I am exiting? Thank you all very much, and my gratitude to Nirakula Yoga for calling me. God bless you, and thank you all very, very much for the session. I'm very, very grateful to you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm exiting.
Namaste. Narakula is a yogashala which firmly believes in promoting the ancient yogic tradition in the strictest sense and in its entirety. All our courses, may it be short termed or long termed, have in them the essence of mantra, tantra, and yantra, guided by the principles of Yoga Parampara put forth by the Maharishis like Patanjali, Swatmarama, and others. Hence, at Nirakula, the courses have been formulated keeping in mind the vastness of yogic traditions. Our system is a rich blend of yoga both as chikitsa and sadhana. We strive to use the principles of yoga to synchronize with nature as much to correct the imperfections of the body, breath, and mind. The following fundamental principles are firmly believed and practiced at Nirakula. Nurture excellent practitioners to carry forward the rich tradition of yoga into the future and to address the unending challenges facing humanity today. Create a strong urge amongst the practitioners to embrace the continuous cycle of physical, mental, and spiritual growth. A few uniqueness of our long-term programs like 200 hours and 300 hours teachers training programs are as follows. Our 200 hours teacher training course is integrated with 20 hours of spoken Sanskritam course. As part of the course, we provide participants an understanding of ancient Indian astronomy, history, and psychology. Our 300 hours teacher training course covers a plethora of subjects including Swara Yoga, Nada Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Yoga philosophy, and psychology, a teaching methodology based on ancient Indian scriptures. This program opens up the participants towards ideas least discussed in academics like marriage, parenting, nutritious food that strengthens spiritual journey. During this program, we take students out to different parts of India and help the participants to realize as to how yoga has been internalized in our culture for more than 5,000 documented years. We have teachers to teach pratyahara and dharana practically. Our graduation day is based purely on the principles of ancient Indian idea of convocation. Namaste.